First of all, what's going on with my hair? Second of all, what you know about Airplane Mario? Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. I don't know what Nintendo put in the water, but I feel great about them lately, especially as we get new Nintendo Switch Online releases and huge Pokemon rumors covering the next 3 years of game releases. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you're doing fantastic out there. All I think we needed was to know from Nintendo what was up. Getting a June Direct that we know is cemented and we can look forward to, so relaxing. Getting regular Switch Online releases so we have games to play, relaxing. Knowing we've got Paper Mario, Luigi's Mansion 2, and Nintendo World Championships as the next 3 titles, so reassuring. But what about beyond? What about Pokemon? And what about today's humongous rumors? Well, first I want to talk to you about what we have for Nintendo Switch Online, because they dropped some new Game Boy games in a surprise update last night. I love that these are always surprises. I love that they come in the evening. I think it's just so random and weird. And this set of games, 1989, the year I was born, a throwback to me and Taylor Swift entering the human plane. Mario Land, Alleyway, and Baseball. I gotta say, Mario Land is a great addition and a surprise that it has not yet been on the Switch. It's got some interesting power-ups for Mario, some unique gameplay, and is definitely throwing it back. It's the 35th anniversary of the Game Boy, so you can see what it was like to play one of the initial titles in all of its green and black glory. The other 2 titles, I don't know. I mean, besides the sound effects, I don't know why you're playing Alleyway. That's okay. It's basically Breakout on Game Boy. I mean, I guess yay for adding it. Baseball maybe has a little bit more, right? So this is the Game Boy iteration of Baseball. Another game that came out in 1989 and probably doesn't hold up all that well today. We can argue as much as we want about how Nintendo should just make this Netflix, should just put out a huge swath of games, and should just cornucopia us with all sorts of nostalgic Nintendo love. But in the meantime, they are doing regular releases, and even though we don't have a set schedule, I feel like they've been pretty reliable in 2024. I feel like they've been pretty regular, and it's going to be important that they continue this in 2024, and honestly, into 2025 when the next Switch does release. Get us GameCube on here, get us DS on here, and we're going to be thriving. I think Nintendo Switch Online is a great deal. I think it's becoming a better deal with every release, and I hope at the June Direct we see a big chunk of maybe major new releases. I know they're dropping things like Baseball, and Mario Land is honestly a big get for Game Boy. You should have probably been there in the beginning, but where's the next batch of big N64 games, big Game Boy Advance games? Let's see what we got coming, and let us know. Remember, Nintendo, key words here. Alerting your fan base, giving them something to look forward to, very, very good. Makes us all happy, makes us less worried, and makes us have to freak out less about what the heck you got planned for the future. Speaking of the future, let's go to the future of Pokemon. Pokemon Company surprised everyone with a big reveal of a new Pokemon Legends title, ZA, and it's out early 2025, and that was it. No black and white remake, no Pokemon title for 2024. Surprising indeed. Instead, Pokemon Company opted to focus on updates to its already existing titles and a very heavy Pokemon trading card app focus. That app looks amazing. The pack opening looks very addictive, and it could be a money pit for the Pokemon Company as they're very good at earning dollars and cents and yen for Nintendo. But Riddler Coup, a very popular and infamous Pokemon leaker, has come out with information on 2024, 2025, and 2026 Pokemon games. So I guess we'll just start in order and go chronologically. He says 2024 will not have another Pokemon game, and instead they'll be focusing on the trading card app. TPC will not have a surprise black and white remake, a surprise Let's Go game, a surprise anything, according to Riddler Coup. Now, Riddler Coup is a pretty good leaker. He likes to be very mischievous, I would say. He likes to be kind of, some people would call it trolling, some people would call it that he's just trying to be tricky and clever, but he does like to beat around the bush a lot, and this is very direct from him. Now, some people argue that Coup uses his riddles to obscure the fact that he's wrong, and we do have a tweet I wanted to read you from Nate Drake, who says, "This account isn't credible when it comes to Pokemon leaks. Majority of claims regarding Pokemon Scarlet Violet DLC Pack 2 didn't happen. When wrong, they say they were trolling. They make safe guesses to look informed, as noted below. Consider this a warning." Now, yes, there is some validity to what Nate is saying here. Riddler Coup has not always been correct, but he has also been correct. Whether that is by making safe guesses or not, I don't know. It's very tough to tell with leakers. Are they just lucky? Are they just safe? Or do they actually have knowledge? But Riddler Coup has been a major player for years, so I'm going to give him a little more credit than Nate Drake. Obviously, still take it with a grain of salt, but I'm going to give him a little more credit. He goes on to talk about 2025 and says that Pokemon Legends ZA will not be out too early next year. Now, this is one of the most interesting things he says, because that maybe indicates that Pokemon Legends ZA is indeed a Switch 2 title. Can you imagine a future where Nintendo launches the Switch 2 with a big new Mario title and a big new Pokemon title? Two big 3D Mario and Pokemon games that are trying to go new places, get big, and take advantage of new hardware? That honestly sounds wild. And if Nintendo were to do that, I absolutely expect them to cross-gen release the Pokemon game so that it can take advantage of the whopping Nintendo Switch install base and sell 20-30 million copies very quickly. But it would also be a good nugget, an incentive, a breadcrumb to lead you to purchase a Switch 2 if you knew that the best way to play the newest Pokemon game and the newest Mario was on a new system. Saying it will not be out too early next year does seem to indicate that it won't be the January or early year slot that Pokemon Legends Arceus took, but it could be March, it could be April, maybe it is a summer title and takes advantage of the Switch launch window rather than its release day. That's 2025. We can move to 2026, where Riddler Coup says, have you prepared for Gen 10 30th A? And that means the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, which takes place in 2026. Now, this makes a lot of sense and does seem like a fairly safe guess that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company would be planning the Gen 10 release to coincide with the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. That's the best way to hype it up. It's the best way to make a huge deal, the best way to tie in all the nostalgia as well as the future advances. And it gives them a full year and a half to figure out the Switch 2, let it sell, let it bake, and then unleash when you have a good install base. My guess is that Pokemon Legends ZA will be a cross-gen title, and then Gen 10 will be a Switch 2 exclusive title. At that point, by holiday 2026, there should be enough Switch 2s not to worry about it. But I do wonder if the Pokemon Company is going to support the original Switch longer than many other Nintendo studios. We've seen this with other games, typically third-party stuff like Just Dance and FIFA, where they continue to release on the old consoles. But considering Pokemon's sales potential, will Nintendo want a version out on the OG Switch? Will that limit what the Pokemon Company can do with development and how Game Freak can push things forward? Or will they just release sort of a older Pokemon? Maybe the Switch becomes the unit where you get your remakes, and then the Switch 2 becomes where you get your forward-thinking titles. Or maybe they just cross-gen everything. I'm not sure. But this would be setting up a 2024 with no Pokemon game. And in my guess, that would mean 2025 would have two. If they're going to release Pokemon Legends ZA, maybe not too early next year, but still early next year, as they previously stated, then I think they would also have a Pokemon game in the fall as well. Could easily be a spin-off, could be Pokemon Tournament 2, could be Mystery Dungeon, could be another Snap, could be a Let's Go title, but it seems like they would want something holiday for Pokemon as well to support the Switch 2 and to support huge holiday software sales. Then you move into 2026 and you can gear everything up for that Gen 10 30th anniversary spectacular where you can do all sorts of things. I expect Gen 10 to be the most innovative, the most exciting, and probably the most massive Pokemon game ever created. Given they'll have access to more power, given they'll have a good amount of time, and given where Scarlet and Violet started to take us, they can tie up the performance issues and make the world bigger, better, bolder, and phenomenal to deliver a 2026 that is. Now again, Nate Drake says that they don't believe this. They don't think that Riddler Coup knows much, and they think Gen 10 in 2026 is a safe guess. I guess the interesting thing is we'll know the validity of Riddler Coup pretty quickly because they say no game in 2024 and ZA not too early. Those two things can be confirmed quite quickly, and we'll find out if we get a release date for Pokemon Legends ZA, maybe at the June Direct, if they save it for the Switch 2 reveal showcase, and obviously if we hear about any Pokemon game in 2024, then we know this is bonkers. But I have a sneaking suspicion that Riddler Coup is right here. I do feel like he's got some things right in the past and been pretty accurate on Pokemon, all things Pokemon. Maybe not Scarlet Violet DLC Pack 2, but a historical presence in the community leads me to believe that Riddler Coup knows more than less. Either way, this sets up a very nice next couple of years for Pokemon, with 2024 being a miss, but that's okay because then they come back hard early but not too early in 2025, and then deliver the Megaton Gen 10 30th anniversary title in 2026, and probably have another game as well. I think 2025 and 2026 could see a lot of Pokemon titles, especially as we enter the next generation and we enter the 30th anniversary celebrations. Maybe skipping 2024 is merely in service of more games those 2 years. But I do think it'll be most interesting to see how they handle the cross-gen nature. If Pokemon does try to move people to the next console, or if Pokemon wants to just be the biggest seller it can be and appears on both. Do they have different versions for each, or does the same version play on both? How is that going to work? Maybe they get really wild and they're like, okay, the equivalent of Pokemon Scarlet can play on Switch 2, and Pokemon Violet plays on Switch 1. Now that would be very nefarious and encourage people to buy both more than ever before. But maybe it would be a good way to split things up, and maybe it would be a good way to cater the games to their specific systems. Or maybe that's a horrible idea. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, especially about how the Pokemon Company will and could split their games to appease both audiences, or do you think they'll just go forward and leave Switch 1 in the dust? I do believe Legends ZA will at least be cross-gen, so that should be pretty cool. But in the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay pals out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.